Welcome to the Heavy Pour with James and Alyssa.
Today we're going to be talking about a beer style that's become popular within the last year, and it's a little controversial to some beer drinkers, but we're really going to dive into some of the local breweries near us that have created a style. So we're going to be talking about a Milkshake IPA.
Milkshake IPAs. So exciting.
Yeah.
I think that we use the word controversial right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And I should explain that a little bit. When we're talking about a milkshake IPA, we're talking about an IPA that is, I think, attempting to hide a lot of its hop character. I think that when New England IPAs started to get really popular, people were really attracted to them because they didn't have the bitterness that a lot of IPAs had. Mm-hmm. West Coast IPAs are very bitter, and especially the really strong, really iconic IPAs, like anything coming out of Stone, is extremely bitter.
Yep. And they have a lot of the more earthy, piney kind of notes, whereas when the New England IPA style came around, it was a little more citrus, a little more fruity. A little juicier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is an expansion on that idea.
It is.
A milkshake IPA is hiding the hop character even more. And to say that I'm hiding the hop character, that's not exactly right. What we're doing is edging further away from the West Coast style of IPA. So we're hiding the brutal bitterness. But the Citra hop is very citrus, very fruit forward. There are a few other hop varieties that accomplish that as well. So we're just doubling down on this concept of making this IPA a lot fruitier.
Yep.
So sometimes they add fruit.
Yeah, so actually, traditionally, I mean, if you can say that, because there is no set style for a milkshake IPA as of yet, the vast majority of them are going to be very fruit forward. They're going to have fruit added. They're going to be focusing on that fruit body.
Yeah.
But by no means is that necessary. So there are a lot of milkshake IPA versions that are not necessarily fruit specific.
Yeah. But the two beers that we have today are very fruity.
Very much so.
Mine is called Berry Fluffy by
New Image.
New Image. Which is a local brewery to us. It's in Arvada, Colorado.
Yep.
And yours is...
And I have the Blueberry Velvet IPA from Four Noses, which is also even more local to us. What's interesting about this beer is that they've been doing a series. So this Velvet series is a milkshake IPA series that this brewery has been doing for several months now. So every month or so, they have a new flavor. Mm-hmm. So they're really doubling down on the different fruits. And they currently have a peach one available. We've seen apricot. We've seen, I think we've seen raspberry even. So.
And we've tried a lot of them, and all of them are very good.
Yep.
I think that my favorite is probably so far the peach. But I know that this girl is a huge blueberry fan.
Blueberry's been my favorite so far.
So we
I've been
got
buying
cases
it up
and cases of the blueberry.
Yeah, anywhere we can find it, because this is one of that they have stopped making and producing and selling in the tap room, but you can still find cans of it here and there. Anytime we see it, I try to make us buy it up.
And I haven't seen this out at a distributor. We bought that specifically at the brewery.
Yep.
So this might be a little bit harder to find.
Yeah, but we tried it for the first time at the brewery, and we're just so impressed that we had to bring some home.
Yeah,
so
delicious.
Yeah.
Let's crack these open.
All right, you want to go first, and then tell us about the...
Yeah, let's talk about this one first.
So talk about that look and feel.
Yeah. Do. Tell us a little bit about the extra additions.
Oh, sure. So one of the things about milkshake IPAs that really sets them apart from the traditional New England IPA style that they derived from is not only the addition of fruit, but mostly the most important is the addition of lactose. So the lactose, I mean, it makes sense if you have a milkshake IPA to be adding lactose. Basically, the point of adding lactose is to add a little bit of sweetness, make it a little bit thicker, a little creamier, like a milkshake again. And it also tends to add a little more haziness.
A little more hazy.
Yeah. This, going into the look and feel of this guy, it's not quite as thick and heavy as a lot of the milkshake IPAs that we have tried so far.
That's true. There is a little bit more clarity in this.
Yep, but it does have a really nice, really thick, creamy
just on the appearance, I love the pure white head in contrast to what looks like sort of a grapefruity like color, like a ruby red
Like a
grapefruit.
ruby red, sure.
Yeah. It's super nice. Lacing is more than I would expect from this style of beer.
And just based on the notes listed on the can, strawberry, raspberry, cherry are the fruit flavors that they were going for with, this guy.
Nosing it is a lot of fruit, but you also get a lot of hop character. They must have put a ton of hops in this beer. But when I say that, there's not much bitterness. It's all that citra-like, citrusy hop character.
And I think I've noticed that I feel like the lactose being added in, that's kind of one of the things that covers up some of that bitterness from the hops a little bit more than would necessarily be normal in just any other IPA varietal.
Yeah, tell me if you can get some vanilla on the nose there.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of vanilla.
Yeah, so that's actually a really interesting point because that is something that they use a lot in milkshake IPAs. A lot of different breweries do that. The vanilla adds a little more of the creaminess, pairs with the milk a little bit nicer, gives the fruit more of that ice creamy flavor. So that is something you will frequently see in a milkshake IPA. Not always, but frequently.
And for me, the comparison that I always make drinking these beers is not necessarily toward the immediacy of the milkshake, the obvious answer of the milkshake, but more sherbety. That really creamy but very fruit-centric ice cream.
I get the raspberry on the nose. No, I think I lied. I think I get the strawberry a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't get much of the cherry on the nose, but it does bring a nice color to it, I think.
Yeah, strawberry is very strong.
Yeah.
Let's dive in. Flavor for me, it's mostly strawberry. And it's really nice. It's lush. It's not overly sweet, although it is a pretty sweet beer. I just feel like there's just a perfect balance between the fruit that they added to this beer and the hop character that is in the background. They haven't lost the identity of what an IPA is with this beer.
I agree with that.
There's still a lot of hop.
I think that something that of note that's interesting to me is that the raspberry, I think, really pulls in some of that sour note that kind of fights back a little bit of the sweetness. So that I think that might be part of
just slightly puckery.
Yeah, just a little bit. Not in your face. You wouldn't even want to come near calling this like a sour sister of beer at all.
Yeah.
But I think that adds a little more dimension and then makes it a little less in your face sweet.
Yeah.
That's what I get for sure.
Yeah.
Cherry still isn't super prominent, but I think I can get a little bit of it on the back end.
Yeah, and it's funny when we're talking about all these berries, I think they sort of get lost in the mix where it's very delicious, but telling the difference between all these different berries is kind of hard. And I think that if you just imagined a tart, a little unripe strawberry, you might get that like cherry flavor. But because we're talking about all these different things at once, it just turns into like a mixed fruit sort of flavor.
Well, on that note, should we open up the blueberry? Because the blueberry is only a one fruit. All right, and just even cracking this open and having experience with this beer, I can tell you it's going to be a lot thicker and a lot less clear. Way less clarity coming on.
Yeah. Already it's a very dark color. It poured very thick.
Very thick. However, not very much head.
No.
There's not a lot going on there as far as...
Yeah, but look at how deep that color is.
But it's impossible to see through. That is about as hazy as it can get.
Yeah.
Beautiful color, though. Very, very reminiscent of blueberry. So it totally fits the description. Let's go ahead and nose it.
Yeah. And with a little bit of experience beforehand on this beer, I'm not sure if it's going to hold up as well as the Berry Fluffy as far as maintaining its hop presence. I think that
this one's a little sweeter. But
some of the different velvets, the velvet series that Four Noses put out, Some of them do maintain that hop character. I think that the blueberry flavor is very forward. Mm-hmm. And that just might be the quality of a blueberry.
Yeah.
Is that it's just
And I think that
really
part
dominant.
of another thing that they do in this series is, I don't know, I mean, if you ever get a chance to see these cans, there's the logo is an ice cream man, an old-fashioned ice cream man. Mm-hmm. So they really double down on the whole milkshake concept. So I think that makes it a little bit more likely for them to want to throw in that sweetness.
Yeah. On the nose, I'm getting mostly blueberry and not much else.
A little bit of vanilla.
A little bit of vanilla.
Yep, that's
like
what I'm
a blueberry ice cream.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Good taste.
Let's give it a taste. As previously mentioned, I love this beer. I think it's extremely tasty. I think it's perfect for summertime. Mm-hmm. So that'll actually be something that I will find interesting. Is the Milkshake IPA phenomenon has been it's still pretty new. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you and I had seen many before spring of this year.
Yeah, this year they kind of exploded.
I'm kind of curious to see how they withstand fall and winter season, if people still want to make them, or if they tend to be more of a summer beer. I could kind of see them being more of a summer beer, but because that's one of the things that really strikes me about this blueberry velvet is it feels like summer. It does. And I think that's part of why I really, really enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Not so much that it fits an IPA style as much as it's just something you want to sit on a hot patio and drink.
Let's dive into that for a second. Do you get any hop character in the taste?
Let's do one more taste. I don't believe so, but...
Yeah, which is funny. I think they put a lot of hops in this beer. It's just that the blueberry is so dominant.
Yep.
And again, that doesn't mean it's not a delicious beer. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy sitting out in the sun with this beer, sipping it slow, and just sweating because it's summer.
Yep. And I think that was kind of the whole point of us wanting to do a couple different milkshake IPAs is we're still trying to wrap our head around the style too, I think, because it's just not clearly defined to anyone. It's just kind of what can we do with this new style and how can we make it work and does it work and is it still technically an IPA is a big question a lot of people ask about this beer.
I think that it's really hard. It would be hard for me to say if it's really still an IPA, especially the blueberry, because I don't think there's much hop character there. And when I see the letters IPA, I expect a hop-forward beer. Whether it's more citrus and New England style or more bitter and West Coast style. I do expect to see some hops. For that beer, it's really hard for me to call that an IPA. I could see it being like a fruit pale, something like just bring away the attention to the IPA.
Sure.
As far as just how you're going to market the beer, and I think that people's expectations might be a little bit more accurate.
Might be true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by both of these beers. Like we said, these are both very local to us, so we enjoy both of these breweries very much, and so it was interesting to see them venture into this style. I know that there are so many other breweries, local and internationally, that are attempting this. So it'll be interesting to dive a little more in.
Yeah. But I think the point for me is not to, when you see Milkshake IPA and you're an IPA lover, I think that there's a knee-jerk reaction to just ignore them because you wouldn't necessarily take them as seriously as you would a normal IPA. I think that's a mistake. I think there is merit in all styles of beer, and you should still give it a shot because you'll occasionally happen upon a good milkshake IPA that has a lot of hop character, and occasionally a milkshake IPA that is not going to have much hop character, but it has something else.
It's just delicious.
It's just a really tasty beer.
Yeah.
So you should never limit yourself.
Should we do a little
always explore.
Bit of a side-by-side?
How do you mean?
Well, that's
the
fine
last sip?
too, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything else that...
I think that we covered most of it.
All right. You know what we didn't cover?
What's that?
ABV.
That's a good call.
6.5 on this blueberry.
And looking 6.5 as well.
Okay, so I think that's probably pretty standard from what we've seen so far. I don't know.
Yeah, I would expect, when we're just dealing with the style of IPA, I would expect 6% or above. I really like a lot of IPAs that are 7.5, but you're getting into that D double IPA realm when you get up that high ABV.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's score these real quick.
Okay, perfect. Well, the tricky part for me is if I'm scoring it based on merit of the style or just personal taste.
Do both. I might do both.
Well, I think as far as the blueberry goes, for merit of style, I think they did a very good job of marketing it as a milkshake. They added the ingredients that make it taste milkshake. The IPA characteristics aren't quite in your face present, as we'd said. So as far as a milkshake IPA, this is tough for me because I think it's very milkshake forward. Mm-hmm. So I would think as an example of what the style is trying to do, I think it's pretty high. I think it's probably a 7.
Okay.
As far as just trying to stick with a style that resembles an IPA, it's a little lower. It's probably a 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. Personal taste, I put it at an 8 or 9. I love this beer.
Mm-hmm. I concur. I think if I was told it was an IPA, I'd give it a 5. Not hearing anything about this beer and just tasting it, it's a strong 8. It's just so tasty.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great beer.
And for the Berry Fluffy from New Image, I would give this an 8 no matter what, because it maintains both its IPA quality and this new vague style that is the Milkshake IPA. It does both.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a great beer.
Yeah.
Both of these breweries are doing some really cool stuff, so we're excited to see them venturing into new territory and doing it pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
cheers.
Let's taste.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.